Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is kind of sparked by this article that I found on MusicRadar. It's an interesting story about the Yamaha DX7 and the fact that it is 40 years old this year. Kind of headline says, to say its arrival with air shaking would be no exaggeration. Why 40 years on, the Yamaha DX7 was the most important release in synth history, even though it did make your head dribble. So they're not saying it's the best synth, they're saying it's the most important. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's quite a long article, but I will leave a link so that you can play. There's loads of videos in it as well. So it's the 40th anniversary of the DX7, so it's the ideal time to look back at its impact, legacy, and what reviewers thought of it on its release. You may not think it's the best synth of all time, and we'd agree with you there, but we'd definitely argue it was the most important and not always for the right reasons. We might as well start with a stat, and some of the stats on this are absolutely mental. So in 1986, up to 61% of the US chart was dominated by the electric piano preset from the DX7. And it says, yes, we couldn't quite believe it. But just to give you a flavour of the DX dominance, the synth featured on this, and that is Careless Whisper. It also featured on Walk of Life, Dire Straits. So What's Love Got to Do With It had 3 presets from the DX7. So why is the DX7 the most important synth history? Well, there's actually a lot more to the story than popularity. There's a few points that I'm going to kind of pick up on. So the digital synths it kickstarted helped with the development of synth VSTs, and the reaction against their often horrible menu diving and harsh sounds eventually gave rise to the return of the analog synths that we have been enjoying for the last 15 odd years, and also the new breed of hands-on digital synths that have been around for the last 5. Dave Crombie, in a magazine called Music UK, who in August 1983 said FM synthesis is without doubt the most exciting new development of the decade. At $1,299, the DX7 is ridiculously cheap. Well, maybe not. You couldn't have imagined that an instrument of this versatility and power would have been produced for anything like this price, even as recently as a year ago. The DX7 is going to be a winner, and I reckon it would be well worth the money at £2,000. The prediction was right then, although we'd argue that 1,200, about 5,000 today in today's cash, was not exactly ridiculously cheap. No, it's not. If you were thinking of getting a DX7, they are getting quite hard to find decent ones, and I found one on Reverb, and it is £660, but as you can see, it's been on for a while and it has dropped. So it says it comes in the hard cases where it's worth about 100 to 200 quid, and a lot of them did, because these were used for gigging. I don't really want to spend 700 quid on a DX7, but there are alternatives, and that is the point of this video. So I'll leave a link to the MusicRadar article and you can read the whole thing. The cheapest alternative is to get the Reface DX, and this is under £300. And there's 4 refaces. There's the CS, the DX, the CP, and the YC. And one's analog, one's like a Rhodes, the CP's like a Rhodes, and the YC's like an organ. And the DX is the FM one. So this is a 4-operator sound engine. It has a touch screen there, and that is your 4 operators, the details there. So it's quite cool. So I'm probably going to get one of these next year. So you can see that's your kind of your FM bit, so you can press on each of those and then adjust. You can actually control them all at once by using kind of 4 fingers. You can kind of scroll up and down. It has some of the classic presets on it as well. The good thing is that you can link up with Sound Mondo, download lots of other presets and upload your presets as well, which is quite good because it only has like 32 presets, so it's a bit limited. Yeah, so this is Korg's Opsix altered FM synthesizer, and this is one that I was thinking of getting as well. So this is a 6-operator FM synth, and you can see it's kind of got the kind of similar features to the Wavestate. It has the kind of sequencer there, and a tiny black and white screen. And we're on version 2. So this is selling on Korg's website for $450. It's still pretty cheap. I mean, considering there's not that many alternatives. But like I said, it is nearly 200 more than the Reface full-size keys, and it is 6 operators instead of 4. The software versions are, surprise, surprise, Arturia's DX7. Got this as part of the V Collection 9, and it is it's a 6-voice. There's very few controls. It's quite straightforward, although you get into it by going into the advanced mode, so you can get into all this adjustment there. So it's pretty cool, and like I said, I'm going to have a look at that later on in this video. That is either 150 or you get it as part of the V collection. So that is one software alternative. The other is OPx-4. So the OPx-4 is obviously just a 4 operator FM synth engine and wave looping, sample offset and multiple filters. I got the OPx-4 with the Akai MPC Key 61, so I'm going to have a look at that as well as an alternative. So that's kind of about it for hardware and software alternatives. There are other ones available and there are some free ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Arturia's DX7 first and we'll have a look at that, and then I'll have a look at the OPx-4. Here we are in Analog Lab Pro, and since I did my V collection overview, there's actually been an update to everything. So the Pro's been updated and all 32 instruments have had updates, and this is to do with V collection 10 coming out. There's not a huge amount of difference. There's a few new instruments and there's been some updates. I think a lot of it's to do with Simona as well. It's supporting macOS Simona, and also there's been some changes to the UI. So this is your kind of standard page if you want to have a look at all the presets. You can switch the keyboard settings on, the controls on, and the keys on, and then you can go undo, and then there's a history, and this is your kind of single instrument. So we'll open up the DX and we'll switch the controls on because we kind of need these. It's using 4 of the 6 operator. So it's using 1, 2, 5 and 6. And that's what it sounds like. Not particularly loud, so I'll just bump up the better. So for instance, if I took off operator 1, there's naught happening. So most of it is obviously operator 1. If I take off operator 2, you can still hear a wee bit, and then 5 and 6, nothing much as well. So like I said, without operator 1, there's nothing happening. So if I brought in operator 3, we'll see what that does. And also you could adjust the timbre for operator 2. And you've got a completely new instrument, and that's without doing really much at all. The controls, I kind of looked at this in the V collection because I didn't realize that I was going to do this video. So basically you've got your kind of volume, you've got your data entry. So so underneath the data entry, you probably won't be able to read. There's some text in here. So it says cutoff is the first one, mod level, the carrier envelope RM, and the mods envelope RM. I'm assuming it's going to affect that as well. So you can see I've now got a clap or whatever. So you can see how quickly that's changed that. So I've really screwed that up. Here we go. Got back. Use the cutoff. Right, there we go. So like I said, you can instantly change that just by changing those 4 levels. So you've got 32 of these operators. So you can see it says 16 there. So you can cycle through. If we change that, you will get a different sound as well. So that is just a different route for the 6 operators. And then you've got your feedback, your pitch, and if you want poly or mono, and then you've got the portamento. You've got it on, you've got gliss, and you've got time, and then you've got the ARP there, and you've got different patterns. Like I said, there's about half a dozen patterns, and then you can have the number of octaves there. So if we switch this on, we'll get a... There we go, all very straightforward. Like I said, it is quite useful to have these controls up because obviously you can see what you're doing. I'm using the faders on the Keylab 49 Essential to operate those, and also the knobs for those. The only problem is that I would need to reassign these, so I can't move those from the keyboard because it's the faders are doing those. So yeah, so this is your kind of advanced view, and this is where you can go in and edit everything that you couldn't really do on the original DX because you couldn't see all of this. This is all hidden in menus. Got an overview, you've got your envelopes, so you can change the envelope. So you just click on these and you get the different, so you can see that there's a new kind of UI here. So you've got these kind of graphics, which is new, which I didn't have this before the update. To other effects we can add in. So these are all empty, as you can see. So you just click on these and you've got phaser, flanger, analog delay, analog chorus, reverb, parameter EQ, filter, overdrive, destroy, and compressor. And like I said, you can add them on and then you can change the routing. So you can have either single or double. So if I click on double, there'll be 2. So that will use all 4 slots. And that is kind of the kind of advanced section. And then you've got these transpose, tuning, AMD, PMD, and mod sends up there as well. So I use some of these presets in my Voyager track, and you can give that a listen if you want, and it is pretty cool. So as you can see, this is a completely different kettle of fish. This would be a lot easier for me to operate using MPC Key 61, but you wouldn't be able to see it as well, and this is the app that you can actually buy. It does look different on the hardware, and it is obviously a lot easier to manipulate everything on the hardware because it's all pre-mapped. Like I said, I haven't got anything pre-mapped. I'm still using the Keylab 49 Essential, and I could map it, but there's no point because I'm just going to use the hardware. There's only 4 operators on this as opposed to 6, but basically you can see that is them there. So that is your 4 operators, and you can switch them off and on. You've got a ratio and offset. So the ratio, if you increase the ratio, that is basically increasing the octave range. So the octaves, this is evolution, which is the first preset. So if I adjust the ratio on operator 1, you can hear it has gone up by at least 1 octave. So I'll take it back down again so you can hear. So and then the offset is the frequency range, so the pitch basically. So if I increase, so I'll put that back to 1, which is kind of around about where it was. So this is kind of middle C. So you can hear that is the pitch frequency. Creating stuff from scratch, that is your kind of 2 main ways of kind of manipulating the sound. And then you've got levels, you've got pulse wave, you've got formant, and this is your mod matrix as well. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got shaping and filtering. It does look completely different. Prefer the way that Arturia have emulated the original DX7, but like I said, this is purely standalone, built from scratch FM synthesis, so it's not copying anything. So and then you've got these global, and so it's based on the samples. You can see this is based on the Instant Choir E2LP, and then you can obviously go in and change that as well. So there's loads and loads of, so we could change this to Instant Choir A and get a different sound. And you can see you can either have looped on or off. And then you've got your 2 filters, so you can see these are your filter range there. And then you've got your cutoff, res, and drive. This bit at the bottom is all the modulations. So it doesn't really seem to work because there's supposed to be a level. These are level meters, but I don't get anything showing up. And I'm not quite sure why, because if you look at the graphics on the in the manual, because I had to have a look at the manual, the PDF manual on this, and if you have a look at the kind of screenshots, there's kind of levels, but none of them work. Doesn't matter what I've done to try and switch them on. So you can kind of switch them off and on. So if you click on 1, you can switch 1 off, but it's not kind of showing it's doing anything anyway. So I don't know. It's obviously a glitch in either this Mac version or the standalone version. I don't know. It could be my Mac. Who knows? You've got 2 LFOs, LFO1, LFO2. So you've got ramp up, ramp down, triangle, sine, square, random 1, random 2. And then you've got utilities, so you can change all that as well. And then you've got, these are your kind of, they're set into, so you've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. And these are all your ADSRs. So you can switch between ADSR, loop, and one shot. And then you can either drag them like this, which is it's not really the kind of greatest kind of graphics, is it? Or you can adjust them by there. So you've got negative and positive kind of curves there, and then you've got your delay, attack, decay, decay 2, sustain and release there. So you can muck around with those. And like I said, they are split into groups of 2, the main ones, and then you've got these other macros up here as well. And if we go to mix and effects, so there's only 2 pages. So there's basically, that's page 1 and this is page 2. So you've got your mix and effects there for 1, 2, 3 kind of effects there. You've got chorus and tremolo, delay, high pass, EQ, phaser, phase vintage, flanger vintage, tube drive, compressor and expander. And like I said, you can just muck around with those, and then you've got a bus matrix. So like I said, it's a completely different way of looking at it. I said your presets are up here. You don't get any fancy views, but there is lots. I have actually done a video going through the preview menu, like I've done for Hype and Fabric XL. So you'll be able to hear a lot of the presets for this in that video. And so I used Nebula OPx in the Voyager track, as you can probably recognize that if you, because it is bloody cool. It's certainly simple, because like I said, you've only got 2 pages. That is OPx-4, and that is it for today's video, kind of commemorating the 40th anniversary of the DX7 and the alternatives that you can buy either in hardware or software. So like I said, if you have enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, share and comment. Tell me what you think of these alternatives, and if you've got anything else that you want to add, so people can check that out. So anyway, so thanks for watching, and as usual, I'll see you in the next one.